You really came back? Wow. We take kid-friendly stories from the scriptures and reveal how terribly inappropriate they are and the fact that they weren't really kid-friendly in the first place because almost nothing from the Bible is kid-friendly, despite how many stories they tell you as a kid. And even the way they tell you them, when you think about it as an adult, you think, wow, that's pretty unholy. Most everyone has at least superficially heard of the name King David. His first name is King, his second name is David. He legally had it changed from Shepherd Boy David to King David. But it's explicitly stated in the Bible that it is wet, because otherwise I can't say it in good conscience on the show that it was in fact wet. This is the man who threw a possibly moist rock at a really, really big man. A really big man. So you might say he was a Goliath. That's it. I'm done. I'll be here for the next 30 minutes. If you thought that was weird, we're going to talk about some very strange things. Good mythical morning. Let's talk about that. What most Sunday schools don't tell you is that King Saul, I don't know if I'd say the current king, because he's dead and has been for a very long time, but he was the king at the time, was only happy about Goliath's death for about a day. I will say about, because we have no sources to confirm that it was in fact a day. However, most experts will tell you that it was in fact one day. Saul got so jealous, I can only assume he was jealous that he did not in fact throw the moist rock at Goliath. However, he attempted to kill David. There were several attempts on David's life. Saul knew that David would one day become king, and Saul did not want that. And my mic is falling off my lap. Saul did not want that either. He hunted David down all over the country, trying to murder him. Saul's son, Jonathan Joestar. If anybody understood that, that'd be fantastic. So, Jonathan convinced Saul not to murder David for the time being. Saul agreed. However, he saw David and went into a furious rage, and he did what any furious, raging man would do at another man whom he wanted dead, with a spear throw so inaccurate that he could perform at the Olympics. I haven't even seen the Olympics. I just like taking pot shots at people. He threw a spear at David while David was playing the harp. Now, we cannot say whether or not this was in fact because David was so bad at the harp that he wanted to kill him. So David ran home where his wife helped him escape. So they made a fake David laying in the bed, very Ferris Bueller-esque, if any of you youngins don't know what I'm talking about. So Saul found the fake David and went, and then his wife said, "He is ill. He is ill." Is that why he looks like camel fur? He's ill. Eventually, believe it or not, Saul figured this out. The spear-throwing maniac harp hater is at least somewhat intelligent. So they bumped into the prophet Samuel and a whole bunch of other prophets. I don't know why we had to call out Samuel specifically. There were just a whole lot of prophets there. And so they bumped into the prophets, and the Spirit of God transferred itself into Saul's men, and they started prophesizing. It doesn't sound like a word, so I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it because it sounds like a dumb word. All of the men started prophesizing, very prophetic-like. Saul sent a bunch more dudes to go catch David, and the exact same thing happened. And they began prophesizing because of the prophets who prophetically enhanced with prophetics. Some had a prophetic leg. Saul went to go do it himself, and he began prophesying, and he must have had a very strange prophecy because he ripped his clothes off and laid on the ground naked for an entire day. Saul was dedicated and kept chasing David around. At one point, David was chilling in a cave, and Saul came in to and David saw that he had the power to kill Saul right now. But he didn't. David decided that since Saul was chosen by God, that he did not have the right to kill him. And so he did not kill him. David decided to be cheeky and came up and he cut a little bit of Saul's cloak off. He left, and then when Saul was done, taking a whiz, he starts walking out, and then David shows up and shows him the piece of cloth, like, you could have been dead. David went out to Goth. Gath, Guth, where the Philistines lived. These were the people who had Goliath on their side. And if you remember, I am also a direct descendant of the Philistines. They were still angry at David for killing their big man. So they brought David to the king to stand trial because it is the Jedi way. So they bring David into the king. Brought to the king. David didn't want to get executed, so he did some quick maths and thought, need insanity. So he goes completely insane. And he gets on the ground, and he's barking, he's scratching his ear with his leg, drooling, doing all sorts of crazy crap. And the king's like, this dude is nuts. There are plenty of nuts people. Why are you bringing this one particular crazy person into my throne room? Get rid of it. David was very smart, but he was also very emotional. He was in touch with his feelings. So a lot of the Psalms were written by David, and assuming you've read the Bible, which a lot of you probably haven't, that's why you're watching this, you can tell, reading them, that he was very angsty. He had a lot of uplifting stuff. As far as the Old Testament goes, he's one of the more relatable characters. That is not to say that there are not several parts of the Bible that showcase him as a moron. Much like you, that's why he's relatable. You know who you are. He would write songs to God about feeling like nobody cared, and about how God didn't care, and how God had abandoned him. He would also write songs to God, thanking him for posterity. I almost said posterity. Prosperity. Happiness. He wrote songs and songs. And songs. And ultimately would always praise God in any situation. That impulse to praise God without exception has also led him to do some things that were hopefully less relatable. He was once so happy about God that he ran into the streets singing his praises naked. He was completely nude. His wife begged him to stop, but he would not. His wife said, please, come back. But he said no. Later, David became king. Despite Saul's numerous attempts to kill him, all that served to do was end his harp-playing career so he could become king. It's very counterintuitive. Little did he know that David only wanted to become a harp player until Saul started to kill him. And then David said, you know what, I'm going to become king. David one day decided, I wonder how many people I'm in charge of and how much money they can make. And then a prophet came and verbally abused him until he apologized to God. So, oh yes, the classic bait and switch. So David, as many do, had a best friend. Now this best friend had a bam slamming wife. At least that's what David thought. And he thought he's going to send his friend to the bam slamming front lines of battle and get him killed. And then David went, that is unfortunate. Woman, would you like to marry me? And then she's like, oh, he's dead. I can't believe it. I guess I'll have to marry you now. And David was like, I guess you will. This was after, not before. After David had already gotten this woman pregnant. Then a prophet came and verbally abused him until he apologized to God. Another time, David was verbally abused by another prophet. Several times, in fact, he was verbally abused by several prophets. However, for all his mistakes, David was a good leader and a good warrior. Goliath was nothing compared to the things David did as an adult. It just happens to be the most notable one because it has the most VeggieTales episodes. He returned to Goth to find the rest of the giants. They're called the Sons of Rapha. They were big, strong, and mean, and giant. He beat them up, wiped them out, took them down. Elbow block. He had a very annoying pretty boy son, Kylo Ren-ish, very edgy, pretty, long hair. Oh yeah, and he got wrecked. He got his hair caught in a tree and was hanging by it, and then some guard speared him in the sternum. David's story is strange and weird, like all of the good ones we talk about here are. That is our purpose, and without them we would cease to exist. And I'm not talking about the show. I'm talking about literally us as human beings. I am, that's in the Bible. You may not know this, but I, in fact, am the show. If you guys stop watching this show, I will die. You can find David's story in 1 Samuel and 1 Chronicles. But a lot of the Old Testament is about David and the things he did, just like much of the New Testament is about Jesus. In fact, I'm pretty sure the entire New Testament is about Jesus. Some of it's about what he did and allusions to him. We'll see you next time. When I hope. Just cut it. We'll see you later, alligators.